How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Here are 10 disappointing NBA lottery picks under contract for 2023 might potentially have only one last chance to save their careers. Starting with Willie Cauley-Stein of the Houston Rockets, who might be out the NBA super soon. 1-year deal with the rebuilding young Rockets, but might not make it to preseason. Terms on his contract not yet known. The minimum salary deal likely won't be fully guaranteed. The 29-year-old played just 20 total games last season for Dallas and Philly. Super limited, has some promise 3-4 years ago. Houston having 20 players under contract, so they'll have to waive a bunch. Another lottery pick who'll be viewed as having an underwhelming career started with the Sacramento Kings. Had a way better tenure with that franchise than Marvin Bagley. Third season, averages of 13.7 rebounds, but afterwards bounced around with Golden State, an 8-6 guy, then 2 seasons with Dallas, couldn't take advantage to use his size. The Mavs decided to waive him, only to make room for another struggling former lottery pick Marquese Chriss, then waived by the Sixers after 2 games. Very inconsistent, doesn't really know his true role, hasn't put in the work in the weight room. Many fans complained about his laziness, lacks engagement, got his minutes ate up, but basketball isn't the only thing Willie's great at. An extreme talented painter and artist, very interesting off the court, artistic and creative, with the wild haircuts, crazy shirts and tattoos, made over $25 million NBA earnings, excelling in another career field, something we could be seeing very soon from the former Kentucky Wildcat. Stanley Johnson, who single-handedly might have saved his career after the desperate Lakers gave him a chance and he provided, played like he had nothing to lose out there, young and proved to be a hard worker. The 26-year-old, being the former 8th pick of the 2015 draft, had lots to brag about, saying he's not scared of LeBron as a rookie in the playoffs, only to have regressed it and limited, viewed as a potential defensive all-teamer to the likes of Kawhi Leonard and Ron Artest, a top 3 player in the 2014 high school class, a two-way upside, 6'11" wingspan, but not a great shooter, doesn't finish well around the rim, likely not having a great staff with the weak development under Stan Van Gundy hurt his growth. Johnson never averaged over 9 points a game in any season, a bad shooter, rebounder, and playmaker, too many flaws in today's NBA. Traded to New Orleans and then Toronto, where he saw extremely limited playing time deep in the bench, ended up spending time in the G League to giving a hardship exemption. Even GM Isaiah Jury called out Stanley, saying he was bad at basketball, the lowest of lows. It's one thing if fans are critical of players with high expectations. Many thought he was done for sure after Toronto got rid of him, but still raw. The Lakers gave him a chance, figured out an identity, just to play hard and focus on D. Offensively, he's just not very confident, tends to pass up on open shots. If he just buys in and listen, he'll fit in instead of trying to be a star. Averaged 6.7 points and 3 rebounds on a career best over 46% shooting for LA. Laker fans appreciate him way more than Russell Westbrook. Traded in the Pat Beverly deal, Johnson will be making $2.3 million with the Jazz. Don't be surprised to see him get traded again soon. Justice Winslow, injury prone after making all-rookie team with Miami, viewed as the Heat franchise player with high two-way potential compared to the likes of James Harden and Jimmy Butler, with strong size and frame, but aside from his rookie year, never played more than 68 games in a full season. Signed 2 years, $8 million back in 2021, had a decent 11 games with the Blazers, averages of over 10 and 6 in 27 minutes, the star potential label now written off, but being a solid role player still very well in play for the 26-year-old. The scoring and passing never been consistent. Despite being untradeable his first 3 seasons in Miami, the franchise simply had a lot of patience with him, but after being below average finishing at the rim and not being able to shoot the 3 or make free throws, can't create for himself. But after Miami got Jimmy Butler, there was no need for Winslow. Lasted 26 games with Memphis, suffered a hip injury, had replacement surgery, signed with the Clippers after Kawhi's injury, but just played 37 games, never really had a defined role with Miami. Way more athletic than anyone in college, but not so much in the NBA. Can't effectively play a Draymond type role. If he can't help Dame Lillard and Portland make noise come 2023, could be out the league before age 28. Marquese Chriss, the 8th pick of the 2016 draft, after an ugly start with the Suns, known for acting tough and getting into fights, his maturity certainly gotten somewhat better, although he still instigates interactions. Looked like he was going to be out the league numerous times. Starting in 2019, Chriss proved to have work ethic after Golden State took a chance on him. Despite the Warriors' struggles, had all sorts of injuries, averaged 9.3 points, over 6 rebounds in 59 games during the 2020 season, suffered a broken right leg December of 2020, forced him to miss the season, traded to San Antonio, waived, then waived by Portland. All of a sudden, the high hopes started fading away. Back to rock bottom, 10-day deal with Dallas eventually led to a 2-year contract, 10 minutes a game, 4.5 point average. Barely sniffed playing time for the playoffs. His most memorable moment in a Game 5 blowout, getting into it with Bismack Biyombo, known for more fights than highlights. Unfortunately, he's playing in the wrong era. Part of the Christian Wood trade, Chriss will be one of the vets for the Rockets, needs to have more memorable plays than altercations. Josh Jackson, who used to be compared to Jason Tatum, debates whether who the better player was. They were even tossed Jackson should go number 1, the one true player from the class without injuries that truly didn't live up to his expectations. At 6'8", nice athleticism, but lacked a jumper. Jackson even skipped the workout for the Celtics, got way too ahead of himself even before being in the league. On a bad Suns team, 21 wins, Jackson averaged over 13 a game, empty stats, but shown something, some flashes, but the same player his second season didn't improve on the jump shot. Phoenix traded him to Memphis, combined with not playing great ball, assigned to the G League, barely showed improvement with the team in the bubble, walked in free agency, being a top 5 pick after his 3rd season, and a free agent, highly disappointing. Detroit gave him 2 years, $10 million, rejuvenated his career short term, putting up 13.4 points in 2021, still inefficient on a bad team at age 22, somewhat a promising sign, but in 2022, got lots of DMPs, a lackluster 6.4 point average in 51 total games, sent to the Kings, wasn't playing much there, still has the athleticism, but lacks the skills and fundamentals that impacts winning. In my opinion, I was never high on Jackson even before he was drafted. On the training camp roster for the Raptors on a non-guaranteed deal, might not stick around the league for much longer. Frank Ntilikina, Knicks fans honestly believe he was going to be an impactful player given his defensive upside, but lacks confidence, combined with being passive, hurt his development. Now 24 years old, a question mark from fans, continues to be limited. Last season, under 12 minutes off the bench for Dallas, some already forgot he was on the team, given that Jason Kidd's defensive-minded coach, and still doesn't like to play Frank Moore because of his liabilities offensively. Not a promising sign given the Knicks had many coaching changes. Ntilikina went from guarding elite guards as a rookie, but the stretches of him getting DMPs and fans chanting "We want Frank," not consistent enough offensively in the NBA, not a quick burst, not a good athlete, a bad jump shot, and below average handles. If he truly wants to have a longer career, strictly being a 3-and-D guy might be his niche. If he can ever become a respectable outside shooter, will spend another season with Dallas. Frank needs to show the confidence when involved offensively instead of shining away from plays. If he can shoot above 35% from deep and continue to make good defensive plays, no doubt he'll get a decent contract, but if the pressure's too much, could also find himself out the league. Kevin Knox, more like Kevin Knock, who's not there to make an impact. After putting up 13 points, 4.5 rebounds as a rookie for the Knicks, 29 minutes, empty stats. His numbers deeply dwindled. Last 3 seasons, an ugly 4.9 points on 37% shooting in 13.5 minutes played. Agreed to a 2-year, $6 million deal with a team option for 2024. Not polished on offense, can run a bit given his size, no real strength, a loose handle, not a good passer, can't finish at the rim, to being forced to play a ton as a rookie, to effectively out the rotation by year 3, his best asset shooting the ball, still considered subpar in that category, being 6'7" and shooting below 40% from inside the arc, not good. Tibbs didn't like his defense at all. At this point, the best outcome for him is turning out like a Tony Snell type player. That's not something to be super proud of. Now on a rebuilding and hungry young Piston squad, many argue there's a ton of players who's better on two-way deals than Knox. Some Piston fans already forgot he's on the team. Scored a bunch in the 2 playoff games as a Hawk versus Miami in garbage time. The 23-year-old doesn't even seem to have a true position or an identity in what he can truly provide to help a team. Jared Culver, the 23-year-old after 3 NBA seasons, found himself a 2-way deal with the Hawks, will spend some time with the College Park Skyhawks G League team and try to earn himself as a serviceable rotation player. Many believe he was one of the safest picks, landing 6th overall in 2019. After nearly leading Texas Tech to the title, rookie numbers of 9.2 points, 24 minutes, Phoenix traded him to the Wolves for Cam Johnson, turned out to be a great decision for the Suns. A 40% shooter and 30% from deep as a rookie, his second season showed no improvements. 16 games into the season, sidelined with an injury. Just 34 games, had a new coach when returning. Played garbage time, went to shooting 24% from deep. With the emergence of Anthony Edwards and Malik Beasley, no use for Culver. Traded to Memphis for Pat Beverly, 37 games deep on the bench, made no impact. Thankfully, the Cavs dodged a bullet and decided to draft future All-Star Darius Garland. Culver can only guard 1 to 5 in the NBA. Not a good spot-up shooter, just not talented enough to make a real long-term impact in the league in my opinion. If Culver's out the league before 2023, he'll end up being one of the biggest busts in recent times. Jerome Robinson, who was an absolute travesty with the Clippers, picked over MPJ, a chance to redeem himself with one of the best organizations now in Golden State. After appearing just 22 games last season with the Santa Cruz Warriors, did average 20 a game in 30 minutes played. After having abysmal numbers of 4.5 points, 113 NBA games with the Clippers and Wizards, Robinson unsigned for a full year from any of the 30 teams after Washington waived him. A combination of being unathletic, a bad defender, poor shooter at 36% for his career, was a beast in college his junior season. A huge improvement compared to his first two, could have been a factor that made him a lottery pick. The fact that his height was a lie by 3 inches in college compared to the NBA, an absolute travesty of a difference. And not being included in the Paul George trade, one of the worst draft picks in Clippers history, highly doubtful Robinson remains in the league for much longer. Romeo Langford, the 14th pick of the 2019 class out of IU, the high school superstar had insane hype, one of the best scorers, selected by Boston. The franchise barely ever placed him. Many forgot he was on the team before being traded in the Derek White deal as a throw-in player. Originally listed as 6'6" in high school, ended up 6'4" in the NBA. That's considered an undersized shooting guard. A slim margin of error, given all the young talent in today's game, being taken by a playoff caliber team with more established, bigger and better, more athletic proven stars in the backcourt like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, elite wing players. There was simply no room for Langford to get playing time on that roster. His best NBA moment so far, playing 27 minutes a game first round versus Brooklyn 2021 with a banged up team, averaged 9 a game, only to spend most of his time on the bench the following season. The 22-year-old with a laid-back style of play could have been better off spending another year in college to polish his skills. Perhaps a tanking Spurs team gives him good minutes to prove that he can be productive. Thank you so much for watching this video. Which one of these disappointing NBA former lottery picks were you most shocked by? Let me know in the comments below. I love all of you. See you next time.